Welcome back, everyone. My name is Steele, and I'm glad to present to you my own creation. Please like, share, and subscribe. It would help a small writer keep her dream alive. I want to give a thank you to my Shay, who always lights my way. Thank you. It's looking like Anarchy by Steele. Chapter 17. Homesick. The gravel popped under the tires as we hit the back road, and something in my chest tightened. Not fear. Not exactly. More like pressure. A kind of ache I hadn't let myself feel until now. The trees closed in like they used to when I was a kid, riding in the back seat of Uncle Ray's truck, coming back from fishing. I used to count the dips and curves by heart, and knew which tree would always bend toward the road, like it wanted to whisper a secret to the windshield. Now each one felt like a test. I kept my eyes locked ahead, scanning for the turn, but my mind flickered backward. I could almost smell the river silt and the fried okra from my auntie's porch, and hear the hum of cicadas over the laughter of my cousins in the yard of my great-great-grandma's house. Was any of it still there? Was Mom standing at the porch with a dish towel over her shoulder, waiting? Or had she packed a bag and run like the rest of us? Had the land, our land, held firm through all this? Or had it been swallowed too? "We close?" Marcus asked, voice low. I swallowed hard. "Yeah, it's coming up. Look for the bent mailbox and the red dirt road. They mark the edge." Silence filled the cab again, except for the rumble of the engine and the occasional scrape of branches. I felt everyone's eyes flick toward me, waiting for some kind of reassurance I wasn't sure I had left to give. But underneath the fear and the questions, something stirred. Not certainty, not even safety. Just the pull of roots. The land was calling me back. And whatever waited up that road, whether it was family, ruin, or something in between, I'd meet it head on. Because this wasn't just where I came from. It was who I was. The trees broke open. "Up there," I breathed, pointing. "That's it." Marcus eased off the gas and we crept around the bend where the gravel turned to packed dirt. The air felt different here, thicker, quieter, the kind of silence that held memory. Then I saw the house. Weathered yellow siding, porch swings half-cocked, same old tire swing hanging limp from the pecan tree. And beyond it, the second house, my uncle's, stood just as I remembered, only now there was movement on the porch. Two figures stepped forward, a third behind them, all armed. The truck barely stopped before I flung the door open. My boots hit the dirt, and I ran, heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. "Mama!" She was already coming. Down the steps, apron still tied, hair pulled back, eyes wide and wet. Her face, tired but bright, cracked open with relief. We collided like thunder, arms wrapped tight, breath ragged, her hands finding my face, my shoulders, like she didn't believe I was real until she touched me. "I knew it," she whispered, kissing my forehead. "I knew you'd come." I told them. I knew I couldn't even speak. I just held her, felt her sobs rack through both of us. Behind her, my cousins came running, yelling my name, half crying, half laughing. Uncle Ray stepped off the porch, rifle still on his back, but hands open and eyes glassy. His nod was enough. His arms around me said the rest. Tears blurred my vision as I felt them all around me. Family. Alive. Kiori, Geneva, Ricky, Marcus, and Layla hung back at the truck, watching in silence. They didn't speak. Didn't need to. They knew what this meant. After everything, the checkpoints, the back roads, the blood and fire, we had made it. And we weren't alone anymore. My mother didn't let go of me for a full minute, even as my cousins swarmed around, arms wrapping tight, hands brushing my shoulders. My hair, like touching me, proved I was real. I clung to them all like driftwood after a shipwreck. Then I turned. "They're with me," I said, my voice hoarse but firm, motioning toward the truck. "They helped me get here." Uncle Ray gave a slow nod and lifted his chin toward the others. "Then they're welcome." One by one they climbed out. Marcus first, tall and quiet as ever. Geneva with dust on her jeans and fire still burning behind her tired eyes. Ricky, cautious but curious, held Layla's elbow like it steadied him as much as her. Kaori brought up the rear, her face unreadable, but gaze locked on everything, clocking exits, roof lines, and body language. She didn't relax, not yet. "You've got good instincts bringing them," Uncle Ray said, looking at me. "We saw dust earlier. Knew something was coming." We filed toward the porch, the warmth of the late afternoon pressing down on us like a blessing and a warning all at once. Inside, the air smelled like cornbread, smoke, and old wood, like time had settled into the beams and never left. It was warm in a way that had nothing to do with temperature. The kind of warmth that clung to the walls after generations of laughter, arguments, prayers, and stories had seeped into them. The screen door slammed shut behind us with a hollow clack that rang through the house like a final exhale. It sounded like safety. "Sit," Mama said, already turning toward the kitchen. Her voice was firm but not unkind. "All of you." No one moved at first. We stood in the entry like a bunch of ghosts, blinking in the low lamplight. The hush pressing down on us like we didn't quite believe we'd made it. Survivors don't always know how to stop running. Even standing still can feel like a trap. But slowly boots thudded onto the scuffed pine floors. Packs slid from shoulders with quiet thumps. Geneva was the first to move, sinking into a chair like her bones had given out. Ricky followed, stretching his legs in front of a patched-up ottoman, his hand still hovering near his belt, like he didn't know what to do without a weapon in it. Kaori sat on the arm of the couch beside Layla, who lowered herself slowly into the cushions, like she didn't trust them not to vanish. We melted into the mismatched furniture, threadbare but familiar, like our bodies remembered what soft felt like. "You need food," Mama said from the doorway to the kitchen. Her apron was already on. "Water. A bath if you want it. We've got well pressure, thank God. Solar's still holding out for now." She glanced at each of them in turn, not just to check on us, but to see us the way only mothers do. "Don't be shy. This house has fed more people than you'd believe." Layla's lip trembled. Her eyes glistened, and she turned her face slightly away, like she didn't want anyone to see. She looked like she wanted to cry, but couldn't quite give herself permission. Yet. Not here. Not now. Not in front of strangers. Geneva folded her hands in her lap and whispered, "Thank you." Mama didn't pause. "Don't thank me yet. You made it here. That was the hard part. We ate like people who'd forgotten what a full stomach felt like, because we had. It wasn't just food. It was real food. Thick slices of cornbread still warm from the cast iron pan. Field peas cooked slow, like they were meant to be savoured. Smoked pork from the cellar, tender and rich, and tomatoes so fresh they tasted like the sun. There were pitchers of cool well water that went down like silk, and sweet tea so strong it could raise the dead and tuck them in afterward. Nobody talked much. We just chewed and breathed and let the quiet soak in. It was the kind of silence that didn't need to be filled. After dinner, we drifted out to the porch like moths drawn to the dim glow of memory. Geneva found her way to the swing and let it creak lazily back and forth. The rhythm of it seemed to calm her, like maybe she'd grown up with a sound like that somewhere deep in her past. Ricky pulled off his boots and stuck his feet into the cool dirt of the yard, curling his toes like it grounded him better than any floor ever could. Marcus leaned against the porch post, arms crossed, eyes constantly scanning the tree line, even now. Some habits were too deep to shake. Layla had curled up on the bench, Kiori's jacket draped over her like a blanket, her breaths shallow but even. She was finally asleep. I sat on the steps, letting the wood press into the backs of my thighs. The air smelled like pine needles, faint herbs and dusk. Somewhere out past the tree line, cicadas buzzed, indifferent to the world unraveling. My uncle sat on the far side of the porch, boots crossed, a mug in his hand. I couldn't tell if it was coffee or something stronger. "Who's been staying here?" I asked, my voice low. He took a sip before answering. "Us and the Daniels. Viola's folks. They brought a few stragglers with them, friends from their church. Maybe 10 more, out by the hunting cabin. Nobody official. No one who'd sell us out." I nodded. The relief came slowly, like thawed water finding its way through frozen earth. "Have you seen Pierce's people?" He exhaled through his nose, jaw tightening. "Too close. Couple roads east. Saw 'em once with binoculars. Black trucks, pale purple flags, gear they don't have any business having. They're sniffing around, claiming checkpoints, watching who's got what." He looked out into the woods, like he could see them still. "We've been laying low. No fires after dark. Dogs kept close. If we hear anything strange, we pull in tight." I clenched my jaw. "We ran one of their checkpoints. Outside Troy." He looked at me then, really looked. His expression didn't change much, but his eyes darkened. "You get through clean?" "No. They shot at us." He nodded slowly, like he wasn't surprised, like it confirmed something he'd been trying not to believe. "Well," he said, setting down the mug, "then you definitely need to rest." There wasn't anything left to say. Not right then. The porch creaked gently beneath us. The last of the light filtered through the trees. And for just a moment, it felt like we might survive. Uncle Ray's jaw tightened. "You did good not stopping." I looked out across the land. The trees rustled. The sun dipped low, bleeding gold across the sky. For the first time in days, my body didn't feel like it was wound tight and ready to snap. "We're going to need a plan," Kiori said eventually. "This isn't over." "I know," I said. "But just for tonight." I let the sentence drift into the air like smoke. Just for tonight, we were fed. Chapter 18. Almost Normal. The water hit my skin like something sacred. Warmth spread slowly through the cold dirt under my feet, seeping beneath the grime and blood that I hadn't even realized was still crusted along my collar. I let the water carry it all away, each drop rinsing off the scratches from branches, the tension from days spent hunched behind a steering wheel or a rifle. I stood there beneath the steady flow until the steam thickened the mirror, blurring the glass and softening my breath. The old house creaked beneath me, the familiar groan of floorboards, the soft shuffle of footsteps, someone humming low in the kitchen. It wasn't the sound of danger. It was the sound of life moving quietly forward. I wrapped a towel around me and stepped into the hallway, feeling the rough cotton press against my skin. For the first time in days, I felt human again. Not just alive, clean. Downstairs, the kitchen table was spread with maps and notebooks, edges curling from humidity. A chipped ceramic mug steamed gently with something herbal. The scent of fried eggs mixed with the faint trace of wood smoke drifting through the cracked window. Uncle Ray leaned over a hand-drawn map with Marcus and Layla, tracing routes through the tangle of woods. "We'll rotate 2 on watch, same as last night," Marcus said, his voice calm but alert. "But now that we've got the high ground, we can use that ridge to spot any movement a mile out." "Fishing's a start," Geneva added, folding her arms tightly. "But if we're here longer than 2 weeks, we need more than a line and luck." Ricky grinned, rubbing his hands together. "Got netting in the shed." "Gill nets. Uncle taught me how to rig 'em. Years back." Kaori's eyes brightened. "Smart. We can set 'em in the deeper bend. Run checks at dawn and dusk." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room, a slow but steady stitch binding us together. Something was settling in all of us, reluctant but sure. We weren't just hiding anymore. We were surviving. Layla let out a crooked smile, the kind that carries both pain and memory. "I used to hate cleaning fish. Granddaddy made me scale 'em while he watched football. Said it built character." Ricky chuckled, shaking his head. "Mine used to fry 'em whole, bones and all. You bit wrong, you bled." Soft laughter rose around the table. Family stories, passing between us like embers in the dark. Outside, I sat at the edge of the porch, the cool mug warming my hands as I towel-dried my hair. The river's breeze tangled in the trees, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. For a moment, it was okay to breathe deep. But even as I focused on the sun warming my knees, my mind drifted. Back to Camilla, Mercedes, my boss Samuel, and even the mailman Matt. I pictured them in faraway rooms. Dark, maybe trapped, maybe running, maybe worse. Were they alive? Were they safe? Did they have a place like this to land? Kaori sat down beside me without a word and handed me another mug. We didn't need to speak. Inside, plans were being made. Traps set. Nets to string. Roots. Digging deep into this stubborn earth. But out here, on this porch, I sat with ghosts. Old friends and new, lost and hoped for. And the quiet hurt of wondering who else made it. Thank you for listening to Chapter 17 and 18. Please like, comment and share. See you later.